me just take care of this real quick. Right. So, apparently, yesterday, Russia declared war on NATO. And, they do everything backhanded and then come out in your face later. What they are trying to say is that because NATO is providing arms to Ukraine, that NATO is somehow responsible for the war in Ukraine, which is just crazy on its face because Russia is the one that invaded Ukraine. They're the ones that did it. And there's been this narrative that it's NATO's fault because NATO was expanding, even though there had been promises that NATO would never expand. That is just crazy. How can they sit there and say NATO will never expand because they promised Russia, one of our enemies, that they would not expand? Is just ludicrous on its face. And then after Russia invaded Ukraine, the countries that Russia were trying to prevent from joining NATO all mass joined NATO. Finland, Switzerland, Sweden, all countries that have made what they call Article 5 agreements, where they're not members of NATO, but NATO provides them help. After, hey, I'm not asking for money and I'm not homeless. Oh, I don't know, Justin. That seems to be going around here lately, that people jump on YouTube and beg for money. I've never liked that. I've always said that if people want to support my channel, they can cash at me, but I'm not going to sit here and beg them to do it because it's up to them. I'm more happy with them subscribing and following my channel. That's fine to me if they just subscribe and follow. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, please send me money. I need this, I need that. I don't do that. Thank you for your comments, Justin. But Russia is trying to say that because these European countries on their border joined NATO, that gives them somehow justification for declaring war on NATO. This shit is just crazy. Hey, Kobe. This shit is just crazy. So their statement yesterday that Russia put out said, because NATO has attacked Russia, which NATO has not attacked Russia, Ukraine is not a member of NATO, that I forget how it was exactly worded, but they're trying to say that they are at war with NATO. When what it comes down to is it's because NATO is selling arms to Ukraine. And because they're doing that, Russia now feels justified to attack NATO countries. I think it's just crazy beyond belief. They are just not yesterday, Sunday, it was seen that Russia has put uh, SRBMs, which are short range ballistic missiles, in the streets of Kaliningrad, armed and ready to launch. Hey, Ben, armed and ready to launch, sitting there, loaded, armed, ready. But then, and then they get upset because, NATO says, hey, Kaliningrad is within firing range of Warsaw, Poland. And I think that we are at the beginning of World War III. Some people have tried to say that World War III started when Putin invaded Ukraine. I said after that we needed to listen to what Putin says. Because when he invaded Ukraine, hey, pro, he said, Poland and the Baltics are next. I have a very dear friend that lives in Poland. She sent me a message 2 weeks ago and said, what will happen is they will go in to Estonia, they will march through Estonia, through Latvia, through Lithuania, and into Poland. She said, Poland is the goal. She said, they want Poland back. She said, but we in Poland remember how they treated us, and we will never go back under Russian rule. She said, we would rather DIE than go back under Russian rule. She's 38 years old. Think about that for a minute. Someone who's 38 remembers how Russia treated them. Russia was not nice to them. And she openly says, she says, Putin is not your friend. Putin is your enemy. Don't let his double talk make you think otherwise. Which I agree with that. It's, you know, it's very sad where we're at in the world today, where we have some people saying, we should listen to what Putin says, and others saying, nah, it's Europe's problem. Well, let me explain something. Okay, NATO has two articles that are important, Article 4 and Article 5. Article 4 is declared before they declare Article 5. They declared Article 4 on Monday. And Article 4 basically means that all 32 countries are going to get together and talk about approving Article 5 and what each of them will contribute. So Article 4 happened on Monday. If Article 5 is invoked, the treaty, the treaty says in Article 5, it says, an attack on one is an attack on all NATO members, and all members must respond. And that means that if they declare Article 5, we are at war because we have to respond, which respond in their description means you must send troops, you must send planes, you must send whatever you can spare to defeat the enemy. And I think this is how we get dragged into World War III. And these people that are saying, no, it's Europe's problem. It's our problem also, because we are one of the main founders of NATO. NATO was founded in 1949 at our urging, with us saying we will supply the weapons. This must never happen again. So when they sit there and say, no, that's Europe's problem, we don't have to do nothing, they're not being informed correctly. Because of Article 5 of NATO, if it's, like I said, if it's declared Article 5, every NATO member has to defend any NATO member that is being attacked. So can you see where I'm saying, don't listen to what they're saying. Read the NATO Charter. Understand what it means. Because the Secretary General of NATO, Rutte, I think is how his name is pronounced. It's Rutte, said over the weekend, he said, we will defend. Hey, Captain. Right, Captain. And now, because NATO sold weapons to Ukraine, Russia is saying NATO has declared war on us, which that is not NATO's premise. NATO is a defensive alliance. If a NATO country is attacked, NATO provides defensive military response. And Rutte said over the weekend, he said, there are 32 countries in NATO. He said, we will defend every inch of NATO ground, and we will defend every NATO country. And so that got me thinking about all this over the weekend. And then yesterday, when Medvedev, I can't stand Medvedev, he's crazier than Putin, said, because NATO is at war with Russia, Russia is now at war with NATO. Right, Captain. This is, Russia is a master at deception. They're a master at deception. Because, see, NATO, like I started to say before, is a defensive alliance. They have no offensive capabilities, meaning that a NATO country has to be attacked first, and then NATO responds. Ukraine is not a NATO country. Right. They're going to do both. Poland will be first. My friend Natalia lives in Poland, and she said 3 weeks ago, she said, Russia has approximately 100,000 troops on the Belarus border. Then, over the weekend, Russia deployed SRBMs to Kaliningrad, and they are set up, ready to launch. They're armed and ready. They're sitting in the streets. And someone made a comment yesterday saying that Kaliningrad is within shooting range of Warsaw. And NATO is keeping track of all these places where Russia is putting weapons. I don't know how that NATO is going to defend against SRBMs, but that's something that we will have to follow in the next, week or so and keep up with, because this is a scary situation. And something else that came out yesterday is that Russia has sent nuclear bombers to Belarus. They sent nuclear bombers to Belarus yesterday. 2 weeks ago, it came out that the Sabat games, however it's pronounced, that are going to start in Russia or in Belarus, that the soldiers on the ground were told that they were going to be taught how to use tactical nuclear weapons in battle. Okay, tactical nuclear weapons are basically a small nuclear weapon that's put over a battlefield to unalive as many on the battlefield as possible. So that was said 2 weeks ago. Then yesterday, it was said that Russia has deployed the nuclear bombers. It's a powder keg. It's like waiting. It's like a 55-gallon open drum of gasoline that somebody's waiting to throw a match into. That's the way I look at it. Because this is scary. And then how this ties into Venezuela. Okay. Now, the Trump administration is saying they're just going after Maduro because he's the head of a drug cartel, etc. But something else came out like 3 weeks ago. I think it was 3 weeks ago. It was at the beginning when they announced they were sending stuff down there. Russia built a ammo factory in Venezuela for, hey, Miss Mandy, for Kalashnikov rifle rounds. When that factory is completed, that factory will make 2 million rounds a day. A day. Also, Hamas, and it's been reported that Hamas and Hezbollah are moving their operations to Venezuela. So do we want Hamas and Hezbollah to have headquarters in Venezuela? I don't think we do. I think and the report that I read said that this has been known for 4 years, that this was done at the beginning of the Biden administration. How scary is that? That that's been going on for 4 years. 4 years. They've been down there building their network in Venezuela, and that's why naming the drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations is important, because once you label an organization as a foreign terrorist organization, they no longer have due process rights. I did not know that, Miss Mandy. Hey, Coffee. But so this is all I'm playing connect the dots, and I'm seeing that what part of Mexico, Coffee? I'll have to look into that, Miss Mandy. I'm from the US, Coffee, but my brother, my middle brother, has a condo in Mazatlan. But I'm playing connect the dots. I'm seeing, okay, Tren de Aragua and uh, the other one is de Soles, Cartel de Soles, named as foreign terrorist organizations. Once you name them as a foreign terrorist organization, you then have the right to take them out wherever they are in the world, and they don't get due process anymore, which from our point in the US sounds kind of crazy, but the International Court has said that international terrorist organizations, I forget exactly how it's worded now, but it means that once they're declared a foreign terrorist organization, they can be taken out anywhere. Look at Soleimani. Soleimani was an Iranian terrorist, general for the NRGC. He wasn't in Iran when he was taken out. He was in Iraq plotting another terrorist attack on America. He was in Iraq and he was taken out with a Tomahawk missile. So I'm just saying that we need to keep an open mind and look at the bigger picture of what else is going on. And while we can say, yeah, we're going after them because of drugs, if you look at what else is going on in that area, there's a whole lot of stuff going on there. One of the things is, okay, the country of Guyana, and I find this interesting, the country of Colombia and the country of Guyana are on our side. Okay, Guyana has an opportunity zone where all of their oil is. Venezuela tried to annex 2/3 of Guyana and said, oh, by the way, your opportunity zone now belongs to us. This stuff is just friggin' crazy. This stuff is crazy. And how, if you look at the big picture and start putting dots and connecting the dots, you see where it all comes together. It all comes together. And the going after the drug cartels, in my view, is a ruse. They're going after other terrorists in the neighborhood. because Trump announced this morning that they would be going next after they take out the drug boats, that they're going to be doing the same thing to drug targets on land. And we need to pay attention. We need to really be careful at what's going on, because we don't know if there are sleeper cells, which, well, correct that. We know there are sleeper cells in the U.S. FBI, the head of the FBI, Ray, said 2 years ago that there were active sleeper cells in every state in the United States. And my thought at the time was, okay, so then why aren't you shutting them down? If you know they're an active cell, why aren't you going after them, right? In this, all this stuff with Charlie that's coming out, because there's stuff that I'm going to talk about tomorrow about um, Tyler Robinson that just come out this morning, that we need to take a bigger picture on that also, because he was connected to some really radical groups. Okay, so that's what I got for y'all right now. I'll be on later on this afternoon with another update. We will talk to you then. Take care. Bye.